Play it right now. So I love this.
That's not what I wanted.
Welcome to Sunday Smoke.
See, I can add that in. It's like, whew, just floats in. You haven't watched the final edit.
I'll go watch it. I'll go watch
It
it.
came out at 1300. It's
Dude, I have not been home since then.
wah, wah, wah.
But all you gotta do is go watch. Hey, just play that intro you just did, and then as soon as you click out of it, I want my voice to say, "Welcome to Sunday Smoke, motherfuckers." That's how it needs to start. That is the catch of every episode. Welcome to Sunday Smoke, motherfuckers.
Yes, and I can actually delete that out. It's like your mouth will still move. It'll say, "Welcome to Sunday."
No, absolutely not. Do not ruin
Actually,
this for me.
Obviously, you haven't watched it because I did.
For me, what am I going to say? So if you edit me out, no one's going to listen. It's not going to be fun anymore. Huh?
That's true. That's probably not true.
It is true. And if you're editing me out, I don't want to be on it because it's boring.
Well, I could.
All right, so here we go.
So
Vulcan and I have been chatting, and the big thing.
And it was internet gold that we.
It was internet gold, but we didn't record any of it.
Now.
The conversation we were having, and when this goes live, we definitely want, or this gets published, we definitely want the comments. What is your time worth?
Yes,
what is your time?
What currency do you use for your time?
Yeah, what currency do you use for your time?
And currency,
and then that can transition.
Monetary, it's not only dollars.
That's right. And then what we're going to do is we can transition to what do you hold value in? Because not everybody holds value in money. There's other things that they hold value. And so what is it for you, Mikey? What do you consider your time worth?
Well, that's a tricky question. It depends on the task that's being offered or chosen, right? You have your finger all over your camera, just so you know. Yes, you're trying to do that intentionally. So when you say, what's my time worth? So you're asking me, are you asking me as a value of what? What's the currency that you want me to define my time as?
Here, I'll help you out. Value, I would say happiness. That's kind of how I look at time. And the way I say that is this. And most people, I think, are this way. If you give me the option of doing option A, which may be working in the yard or moving something of that nature, or hey, I can go over here and sit at Vulcan's house and watch the sunset and have a couple of beers. Well, I value what I can get out of that couple of hours in my life. I look at that and go, what will I value the most when I'm old? And what I'll value the most is your friendship and sitting out there and having a couple of beers and watching the sunset.
So the hell with the yard work.
So to hell with the yard work. I look at this. We were having the conversation of I've got an individual that I know that is currently building a home. And the way that they've contracted the home out is they're the general contractor. And so they paid someone to do the slab. They paid someone to do the framing, right? Once they get to a certain area, though, then they get the inspectors to come out and they get a certificate of occupancy. They're going to be bare bones inside that home. The bare basic necessities that the state and the county say you must have before you can reside in this dwelling. And then they are going to do all the rest of the work. They are going to put in every bit of cabinetry, every bit of building out their closets, every stitch of flooring, every piece of paint, trim, staining of their doors, the taking care of the covered patios and covered areas that they have. All of that is going to be done all by them.
Okay.
And I go, I value my time differently than that. They look forward to all that kind of stuff. Personally, I would do turnkey. And for two reasons. One, I would say, hey, these individuals are skilled tradespeople. This is what they do for a living. So an individual that does sheetrock is going to be able to do the sheetrock and tape it, mud it, prep it, sand it. They're going to be able to do all of that 4 times faster than I am, and it's going to look better. So I go, can I do that? Well, yeah. Do I have the tools? No, I got to take the time to go purchase the tools. I've got to take the time to put this sheetrock up. And not only am I putting the sheetrock up, I've got to take the time to educate myself to learn how to do it properly. because there's certain ways that you have to put sheetrock up. And so I look at that and go, I would much rather spend that time going out to dinner with my wife. I would much rather spend that time coming and hanging out with you. I would much rather spend my time doing something I enjoy.
Yep.
I will ask you this. If you're doing something and you get aggravated, like you are frustrated, does that carry over when you're done with that task? Your frustration, as soon as you leave that area, is your frustration gone? Or do you have to vent to your wonderful wife? Or do you have to go sit on the back porch and kind of just decompress? And so I look at all of that as lost time. I look at the potential of me getting so aggravated to bite my wife or my daughter's head off, and now I've got a situation at home where I've got other people unhappy, and now I've got more time in tension.
So I can say that that's the value, that's the currency that you're basing it on. It's not you think your time, the aggravation or something else is your time. The currency you're valuing is not being able or not doing that kind of work so you can do more time with the family. So that's your currency. This is what's valuable. It's not I'm saving money. I don't want to have to go buy the tools or anything. It's just like I would rather do this than that.
Because you,
Right?
well, and I want you to think about this because we're fixing to go into a different subject. You only have a finite amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying there's an infinite source for money, right? But money's the one thing that you can replenish every 2 weeks, every 1 week, once a month. When you get paid, right? Or whenever you finish every job, you replenish that. You can't do anything to replenish this bucket of time.
Correct. Yeah.
And so I look at it that way. Hey, hold that thought. I'm gonna click a light on so it lights it up better, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna hit pause. Oh, well, we can't pause because somebody had to join
Well, then
via
talk
mobile
to the
app,
people
which
listening
anybody
to you.
can. I can put the link out again for anybody to do the mobile app and be in the audience or a guest. If you're in the audience, you can just watch this beautiful production of internet gold that is being made live. So you can see exactly what happens before the small edits happen. But if you become a guest, and then you could be like our friend, I guess I'm going to point that way because it doesn't mirror the screen for me. So he's probably that way, not that way. And it's just like, this is what we call awkward. This is the filler time that we have to have. Or I said I did the, which when it looks like max headroom, when we do the editing, because it will automatically, if I ask it to, not automatically, but if I ask it to, it will delete filler words with the and our cohort's favorite saying. So, yeah, this is getting into more of a discussion that we were intended. What's your time worth? When I say the currency of your time, the currency is not always money. It's not dollar amounts. It's the value that you receive or acquire from your act or not act. I don't know how to explain it better than that. Other than everything has a value. It's like if you look at buying a new car, new house, or whatever, it's the value of the object. It's like you hold that value. It's not like if it's $10 or $100,000. It's how much you want that object. It's the value to you to make you even say happiness, right?
Yeah, but that's two different things.
Money, well, no, it's the value. Some people are driven by the value of the costs. Some people are driven by the value of comparison that they want to see. They want to have to be this way so everybody can see it. To be
Right,
on
but that's
board
what you
with.
consider, that's what you hold of value. My question was, how do you value your time?
Okay, based on what currency?
No, you.
Okay, that's a very general
How do
question.
you value your time is also how do you prioritize your time? So if it comes down to your wonderful wife and family, your time with them is prioritized over,
Everything.
God forsake it, me.
Yeah,
I mean,
like everything. Yes.
yes,
It doesn't
it's
matter. I can go for this job and make this amount of money or do this. Yes, that's the first priority.
that's your first priority. So that's what I was kind of getting at. So like for me, I was just using that home as an example. or a task as an example, you would put your entire life on hold for your wife and daughter. Hey, we would like this. Nope, here, we're doing this.
Correct. Well,
You
yeah,
know?
within reason. I mean,
And so that's what I
it's
was
not
trying to.
100% cut and dry, right? I mean, if we're going to talk about absolutism,
No, we're not talking about
there's some things like you
absolutes.
have to go to work because you have to pay the power bill. You do
Yeah,
have to buy food. So it's not like it's like you're not going to say 100%. I'm going to do this no matter what. So there's
you
a trade
can't.
off.
There is a trade off, but what you can do is there are some people, and I was guilty of it when I was younger. I had aspirations to grow in my corporation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I liked the company. I knew that I didn't want to go anywhere, but I knew that I wanted to rise up. Speaking of companies, yeah. And so what I did at times is I had conversations with my family and said, I know I'm going to get called for work, and that needs to be a priority for a short period of time. My family, we had an agreement that so my time was focused towards work. And there were some things that I missed. I agreed to travel, things like that, so I could prove my worth. As I proved my worth, the things that I would say yes to I started weeding some of those things out.
Okay. So you found
My
value
value
in other things, right?
Right. And then so now I'm
Or
very
different
lucky at the
value.
right. And the value where I have put myself, I assign different values. And it's also one of those things, it's as you grow. What was your time worth at 21 years old? I'm telling you what my time was worth. It never crossed my mind. I never thought about what I'm worth. What is my time worth? That means if somebody said, "Hey, can you come help me paint? Can you come help me move? Can you come help me do this?" Never questioned it. I would just be there and I'll do whatever. Never thinking, man, you know what I mean? We just moved an entire house. These people get paid $1,000 to do this. You know, you never assign your work. You just go and help a friend.
Okay. I mean, I understand that. But not to pick on you, but you just assigned a monetary value to your time
What is your time worth?
for as money, right? I'm
So
picking on you a little bit. I don't know. This is getting the philosophy brain going. It's like you have to decide what currency you hold valuable. It's
I
not
don't. I
the
think
currency is not just dollars.
I know it's not.
Yes. But
But time
you trying to set a value of your time when you just said how much money. Okay,
because
I'm picking on you a little bit.
time has different values. Time can be a dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to work and you get hired into a company, they either offer you an hourly wage or they offer you a salary wage based on 40-hour work week, which is very easy to do math and figure out what that hourly rate is,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Correct.
So your time via your company has a dollar amount. That is what your time is worth. Your company is paying you for your time. Whether people want to realize that or not, when you work on somebody's car, they are paying you for your time to fix it, plus parts, plus blah, blah, blah. But you have a labor rate. That labor rate is the amount of effort and time you have to spend to accomplish that task,
The labor rate is the value I'm assigning to the production I'm doing.
which is
So
your time.
that's why if you have different people have different labor rates, doctors
Yes.
have a high labor rate because they're considered more skilled in the spectrum of our society than other things. So they get a higher labor rate than doing other
Yep.
things that is just as skilled in a different way.
Yes. I'm not arguing that.
So, but that's all based on a money currency.
Right, right. And you just confer you just piggybacked on time has different values.
Yeah, so but for me to spend the time on getting currency, I find value in that to be able to do something else, right?
Yes, yes.
But then we get in this big hole. You can get in this um, conundrum, I would guess is a great word. It's like you have to do this because this is the way it's set up because you have to do your 40 hours a week so you can do this, so you can have this value with this value and this value. It's a big, ugly circle. It's not even a circle, it's probably infinity.
It always will be. I was just trying to get a thought from you, which is I look at my doing certain jobs that you could pay somebody to do. Um, and go, I assigned my time a dollar amount because I chose to pay this individual this amount of money to do this task that I don't have to do. I can go do whatever the hell I want while this individual does this task.
So that's
So
the
to
value.
me, you put a monetary amount on that by paying that guy that, but it wasn't a monetary amount the reason I paid that individual that amount of money. It was the freedom that it gave me.
That was the value.
I
That was
paid
the
for
value.
freedom. Freedom was the value. I paid a dollar amount, but the value that I wanted was freedom.
I don't know if I'm bringing over my point. It's like the dollar amount is not the value.
Yeah,
It's
freedom is the
the
value.
value. As you said, I don't have to do this. I can do something else because I can pay them to do that. It's not because you can pay them. It's not the dollar amount. It's the fact. It's like I have the ability to do this, so I choose to do that. That is the value. I am able to just pay them to do this. That's your value. It doesn't matter if it's
Value is
$10
freedom.
or $1 million.
Doesn't matter.
That's
The
the value.
value is freedom. I was free to do what I wanted.
But then it gets into a little more nuance where, like, because you have the dollar amount to do that. What if you didn't have? This is what's hard to think about. What if you didn't have the dollar amount to do that? How does your value change? Like
I
if you
don't.
if you couldn't reasonably say, yes, I am going to pay somebody to do this job because I have this amount of currency in a dollar sense. What if you didn't have it? So you can't assess another value from it because you have to do it, right?
Yeah.
I know that's just
No, it's different. That's why I wanted to have this discussion because, like I said, Don and I were having the conversation, and I saw no value personally
mm-hmm.
doing all the work myself, building a house, all the interior work, cabinets, flooring, painting, lights, plumbing the sinks. I saw zero value in myself doing all of that. I really looked at it and went, I can go to work. I could go to my best friend's house, which is Vulcan, by the way, guys. I can go to my best friend's house,
Change
hang
the
out, have
positions. Hopefully, I'm looking at you.
yeah, hang out, have beers, whatever. Take you over. Hey, look, this is what they're going to do next. This is what they're going to do. Let you and I nitpick them. Hey, can y'all fix this?
But do
That's
you
how
find value in that? Being able to
I
go
find,
back and look at somebody else's work. Hard question,
but
right? I
no,
mean,
no,
like honestly, I mean, no judgment or anything. It's like, do you find that a value in
no, no,
seeing
no.
somebody else
So
do
you're
it? So
miss,
then you can look at their work and
stop.
criticize.
No, you took that out of context.
I,
I'm not going back to. I'm doing the value of you and I spending time together. I would never nitpick anyone's work. I'm looking at I put value on you and I going and looking and hanging out, having a beer, going to dinner. That's what I put value on over doing all the sheetrock and the plumbing and everything else to save a dollar.
this
You know what I mean?
person.
So for
Okay, let me just throw this out. The person that you are talking about, this building the house, the value to him is actually maybe not saving the dollar. The value is to him is he is completing the task that he can look from now on and say, hey, look, I did all of this. I can kind of empathize with that because
yeah,
like when I
I
did
can't.
my basement and everything, I did everything myself just because I wanted to complete the task and I wanted to do it. Now, granted, I did not do it in a timely fashion compared to a skilled tradesman, but I did it all. And that was the value to me. It wasn't the fact that I was saving money. Now, maybe the value, part of the value is that I can say that I didn't spend this much money. I did this for a lesser amount. I mean, that is a value because comparison, I mean, that's everybody has that bias, right? Everybody has a comparison bias. It's like I did this, and it only cost me this much because I want to be braggadocious about it.
Yeah. There, see, that's why I wanted to have this conversation. It's all the different perspectives. So, like when we did the flooring in your bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that immensely. But it wasn't the task. It was hanging out and bullshitting with you and making fun of each other.
Yes, that was
It's
the
just
value.
because that was our. I mean, that just is how you and I. That's how you and I bond. It's how we do that. And if we walk in your house and somebody goes, "That floor looks nice," I know who helped do that.
Yes, exactly.
And we laugh at it. But I just remember I remember the measuring, you putting the piece, doing the line, remeasuring. That's fucking perfect. Cutting that bitch off, walking back upstairs, and you going, now it's perfect. But it was, now granted, we may or may not have had one or two beers, but
That doesn't sound right.
but it's what I remember, flipping that stuff and then going, there you go. But once we did that, everything flowed right through. That's what I remember the most. And so that's how I value time, is that, hey, do you have stories to tell? I have a million. And so I look at, if you do getting a house built, go look, have fun. When it's built, you move
time
in.
value for you. I mean,
For me,
shocking. Values for me, values for you, values for the other dude.
all
Very
different.
different. Yes. Whatever currency they want to use to assign a value to it. Yes. I'm going to challenge actually you, because something you brought up earlier. I made notes. You can't see them on top of my screen here. I need you to pick up Plato's Republic. I want you to read
Okay.
it.
All right.
When you're talking about the different skills and this person should do this, because I think everybody should like pick it up and read it and look at it. I won't give the premise of the book. You just need to read it and find a good translation. Maybe I'll add a picture of the book.
Absolutely.
This
In the notes, but
absolutely revolves around what we're talking, and revolves a lot about our topics that we could bring up.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll go read it.
We
Send me.
can even start our own little Sunday Smoke book club and start bringing all these different things in.
I'm in. I love to read. I think you know that. And so now most of the time, I don't. Y'all know I don't watch a lot. I don't watch a lot of TV. I have the little screensaver going in the background. Don't watch a lot of TV. I read a lot, and reading is kind of my TV. I love reading
It's
these.
usually pop-up books.
Yeah, How to Shit in the Woods. That's my new one I'm writing. How to masturbate a bear. That one's coming up. I'm going to British Columbia in the next couple of weeks. Get that one.
Yeah. Wish I'd known how to cue this up sooner.
Yeah, but put that one in.
That's in the
And
live
read.
or the raw footage. I wouldn't say live, other than if people are watching on Riverside right now, it's live. But
Yeah,
they don't have it
you got to put the link out. So
I could put the link out. Maybe I'll share the link on some social media
and then
platforms.
and then we'll set up a time. So
I'm gonna hit stop, and just like that, we're back, and there he is, the guy right there.
here I changed locations.
I didn't change locations. You've changed locations. I changed shirts.
You did change shirts.
Yeah, we're gonna get back into our discussion of just a few hours/days ago of what is your time worth.
Amen. What?
I've had some time to think about it. Speaking of time, because you were asking, I think we left off about a thought of it's easy for people to always assign a dollar amount to time when you ask what your time's worth, right? I mean, it's very objective because it's like a monetary value. That's the currency you are using is actually money.
Yep, and I have been doing some thinking. I told you I got people that we know building, home, and I equated all the work that they're doing with just saving $1. And you had said, yeah, but they get to walk into their home, and when somebody goes, man, this is beautiful. We did this. We did the flooring. We did the cabinets. We did the painting. We did, you know what I mean? So their time is worth the pride that they get to show when everything is said and done. They get that sense of accomplishment that I did that. For those that can't put sense of accomplishment together.
Yeah, they got a personal value out of it instead of the monetary value.
Correct.
It's something that they wanted to enjoy. They wanted to enjoy the process. Oh, look at that. Getting a little better lighting.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep.
They wanted the pride. So that was why it's worth their time.
That's right.
Yes, that's how they valued their time.
100%.
It's a potential, I don't know how to say it, a potential savings and income is part of the value also.
Of course.
There's more than one value to it.
There's more than one value, but especially here in our country, for most people, everything has a dollar amount attached to it.
Yes.
Time, effort, everything has a dollar.
Well, because in my opinion, it goes together because you have to make a choice to go to work to get that dollar. So you have the opportunity to use that dollar to gain your time back, as in paying somebody else to do something so you can save the time so you can go enjoy your friends, family, hobbies,
Right. Yep.
exercise.
Yep.
I mean, that's actually, one of the big things. I don't know. I can feed that in because
Yeah.
Vulcan
Yeah.
is also
Because if you
coached
think about it,
in-house.
the more free time people have, the more they're allowed to do things that they love to do. And a lot of people love going to House Family Fitness because it's not to go get swole. So don't think that when I talk about, oh, we got to go to Mike. Mike's got a gym. It's what Mike brings to the table, which is we don't need you to be able to lift 900 pounds. What you need to be able to do though is pick up 25, because when you have grandkids, or if you already have grandkids, you want to be able to tote them around. You do need to pick up a suitcase when you're going to travel. You
I
do
actually
need to
had
be.
that discussion with the ladies from the university this week because I was making them do suitcase deadlifts, and they were asking what weight, and I said, "Well, let me ask you a question. How much does your suitcase weigh when you get on an airplane? If you're doing a carry-on, and or if you've got a big bag?"
That's right.
I got a befuddled look from one of them, and it's like,
Sorry,
but
sorry. Wait a
actually
minute. Hold on. Hold on. Hold
her
on.
response, let me hear her response though. We add humor back into this. She goes, one thing about it, mine has wheels on it. But I said, you still have to put it in the overhead bin. You still have to pick it up when you go through TSA. You still have to pick it up or move it after you stop and get your coffee. You have to stop and pick it up and move it after you go to the potty. So just because it has wheels on it don't mean you don't have to pick it up.
Oh, I was just trying to help out our viewers and listeners. Befuddled equals confused.
Be careful now. You might blow out a fuse. We're going to turn into
Tying it
Dr.
back
Seuss
into
here if we
mechanics.
let it go. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. We're actually doing part of the podcast kind of midday during the week.
It is.
Probably a little bit different personas instead of being outside all weekend, tired, dark, couple frosty beverages included.
Well, can't have that right now. Matter of fact, I got the old Kirkland vitamin water.
Feel free for sponsorship, Kirkland.
Kirkland, jump on it, son.
Yes. Now I'm probably gonna have to list that in the edit. That was a product placement. That could be a first for us.
Kirkland vitamin water.
And it's a
Man,
dragon fruit.
it is. And I will tell you this.
From dragon eggs? Is that what that is? Dragon
Mm-hmm.
fruit, a dragon egg.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I taste no different in that and in the expensive one that says vitamin water. Zero difference.
Or none. Or no difference.
Or zero.
Nada.
Hence vitamin zero. That's not zero vitamins. That's zero sugar, 0 calories.
Look at you, all
It's
adult
it's
ting and
it's yeah.
wellness
And
ting.
this one is just like me. It's enhanced.
Well, I don't think you can be enhanced right now since you're technically at work, because you're doing a double down right now on the value of your time. What's your time worth, right?
Absolutely.
You're technically at work because you're fortunate enough to have your home office and you can communicate through similar things that we're doing right now. And well, we'll have to put it on pause because Miss Vulcan is calling me, and that's unusual. So I'm just going to pause right here.
All right.
All right, so it goes right back into it when I pause. I hit a pause there because Miss Vulcan called me in the middle of the day, which is unusual. But she was using her valuable time at the tag office to renew her driver's license and get a replacement sticker for the secondary Vulcan mobile because, once again, the value of time. I had gone to get tags for all the multiple vehicles I have, failed to check and make sure they handed them all to me because it's more than 4 because I have trailers and all involved. So the value of my time was when they called me back to say it was their mistake. I wasn't going to go back to get the tag since they had offered to mail it to me. All right. Well, that has failed. So now Miss Vulcan went and was using her time wisely, the value of her time, her worth, to get 2 things done to go to Columbiana Courthouse. Well, unfortunately, Vulcan, when Papa Vulcan passed away, only titled it in his name. So she can't make any changes, and she's been very patient waiting. It's full. They said she'd have to go back in line. So this is more value time. She's getting to hang out with the daughter. The daughter went with her because she wanted to go with mama. They emailed a POA for me to sign. So I had to download it, print it, fill it out, sign it, and then send it back to them. Well, unfortunately, the lady that was helping Miss Vulcan was not the same lady they sent her to. And she went, no. We can't take this as a picture. So that value worth time that she sat there and waited and we worked back and forth electronically, she's still going to have to bring the document to me for me to sign, and then she can go do it, or I can go do it one day. So I'll have to take time to go get my tax
And
fixed.
and do you know how, ladies and gentlemen that are listening, do you know how all of this could have been avoided? That is right. All of this could have been avoided if one individual that's not named Dirtbag, that his name starts with a V, would have just went 1, 2, 3, 4. If you'd have just counted, if you'd have just take the time to count.
Let's see, the V, but just one time, if I'd have counted correctly, it would have been fine.
So and that brings up, I know that wasn't, everybody mentally can't be. We're not saying that everybody's going to be mentally acute all the time. They're going to be just dead on sharp, bam, bam, bam. But taking the extra 10 seconds, right? For you, not thinking, but if you'd have took the extra 15 seconds, I'm missing one. And then all of this would have been, but it's also the same thing when people talk about how did someone's house get to this? How can somebody ever let their yard get to that? Because it was never a priority. It was something,
It wasn't worth their
time to do. But what'll happen, and this kind of just goes full circle, if you put things off, if you spend more time trying to get out of work or not doing something, it's going to come back around where you're going to have to spend twice the amount of time than you originally would to get it back to where it should be.
If I could remember the quote from one of my philosophy studies,
With
people that I've enjoyed their readings, Seneca.
Okay, so is it? Let me guess. Hold on. A quote, famous quote.
Famous quote.
With a big dick comes big responsibility. Is that it?
Say that again.
I said, with a big dick comes big responsibility. Is that it?
You can think that. You can try that.
Okay. So what is your quote?
All right, it's on the shortness of life, because everybody says time is short, right? It's not that we have a short time, but we waste a great deal of it.
Yes, it's not. It's a short amount of time. We fuck off a ton of time.
And this is what I was leading into when we discussed before when I said I'm going to pick on you a little bit. Everybody compares time to money, and people emphasize being frugal on their money most times. They're frugal with their properties, right? But they're wasteful with their time because they don't hold it as a big of value. So that's why I said I was going to pick on you in the previous spot, is because you said, hey, this guy does this, he's helped move, and somebody charges $1,000 for that. That is our human instinct, or our conditioned instinct that we are in our current society. Because when you look at your time, you automatically assign a value to it.
Yeah, and
with money. That's
money. Once again, I made that thing earlier. A lot of times it comes back to, what is my time worth? I look at it as, when I'm at work, my company deems my time worth this much an hour. So that's what I'm worth. So if I go out to help someone, that's what your hourly rate is.
In that certain situation.
In that certain situation. What I was trying to uncover and have the conversation about was take away dollar amounts, period. I'm learning that because somebody in this relationship right here that starts with a dirtbag has aspirations and all of that at work, right? I knew that I was doing things that were making a difference. And so the more I saw the change that I was creating throughout the company and people were using those things, it was benefiting, it charged me up. So I kept going further and further and further with it. Well, what happened is somebody may have gotten almost important. Almost important at work. And what that means is I have the freedom that I used to have. When I lived out of a service truck, I was so happy. I worked, I went home, right? It was very, very, very simple. Well, now I have individuals that, I manage an entire division now. And so I don't have the set hours and time during the day, right? I don't start at 7 and I'm off at 4. Well, that's not the way it works in my world. And so when I'm not at work, I value that. I really do value differences. I don't want to walk outside and mow. I don't want to go from work to work, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Makes a
you
lot of
know.
sense. Yes, because I mean, not that's what gave me a great opportunity to think about it since we split it into two things. Because I was like, I had a feeling that you were stuck on the monetary value of it, which you did not come off that way, but that's the way my mind was working at that time.
Yeah, and now you can see that I don't. It's not that I'm.
Yes.
It's
And you get compensated well for your time when you do work because they see that value that they honestly, the corporation doesn't think that they're taking your time away from other things, but they see that you're valuable to them, and that's why they pay you for that time. They don't factor that in. Some corporations, maybe. I think it would be very few.
yeah. So mine, and this is once again, so we break it up. My corporation, they are very adamant about mental health and being able to come to work in a happy, if you would. They want you to be content. So they put a lot of time in. And so I have a very autonomous position. My manager does not look online. Is he online? Is he offline? Well, what are you doing today? What are you doing this week? What are you doing? We have weekly catch ups, which most of the time him and I just, hey, this is what's on the horizon. This is things that I'm doing to get this implemented or working on it. And he will always ask, what can I do to help? This or nothing. And then once a quarter, I will fly to our corporate headquarters and have a week up there with my manager and the other team that's there. Otherwise, as long as everything's getting done, they know the nature of the beast. If I'm not online at 9 o'clock in the morning, nobody says anything because I may end up getting a phone call and be online from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but they know that.
Yep.
Well, I don't know how to say it. That's why you're in that position because they do value it, and you're using that time part of your time, which you're probably struggling with a little bit, I think. But you're being well compensated for that time. You have a high value, so that leads into you being able to enjoy the other time. So it's a trade off.
It is a trade
You
off.
have to do one so you can do the other. Because I know
That's
you
right.
brought up in the first section of our meeting or podcast that how would you feel? Because you said you could pay somebody to do this. You'd rather have a tradesman do it. But then what if you weren't in the situation because you used your other worth of time to get to that or a possibility of paying somebody else to do it? So that's what your time's worth more than just the paycheck you get. It gives you the ability to help dictate your other time. Does that make
Agreed.
sense?
Yep. Yeah. But that's what I'm glad that we're having these kind of conversations. Really, I loved the original style, the banter, the interviewing people, which we are. For those that are listening, made it this far, we are going to line up and get others involved and interview because that's still something I'm so intrigued by other people and I'm so inquisitive by nature that I really do want to interview other people. You get to learn so much from them.
Yeah, when we get off, I know we've talked about it behind the scenes of a couple people. I've got a couple people that have reached out to me that want to be interviewed and or audience and guests in
Okay.
the past couple days or hours.
Good. Good. And once again, I've
Hey,
got I've got a
part of the
couple.
addiction that everybody has. My phone vibrated, and I had to look and see what it was. It wasn't a phone call, but it was just a vibration, a notification of some sort. We can talk about that addiction for one of the podcasts for sure.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. I've got a couple people that want to be on, and I would love to hear their insight on certain things. They're very successful people. One is an author. He's written 3 different books and had just this amazing life. I've known him since we were both, I think, probably 19 years old. We were in the Air Force together, and then he went from the military to working in a hot rod shop, and then that led all the way up to working at a high-end shop. I mean, this was stuff that was being shown at SEMA, a few $100,000 when it rolled across at Barrett Jackson. These are kind of cars and stuff. Then he went to be a metal fabricator that was doing forging and wrought iron and cast iron work. Custom staircase out of wrought iron. I mean, just you name it. Then to writing books, to doing artwork, all dedicated to fly fishing.
Okay, well, we can bring up, we'll get a good biography with him, his success, and we can bring in a different topic if we can piece it together with if we can find a commonality in his experiences and what made him successful. We could bring in humor. We could bring in the value of your time, what's your time worth. I keep saying value of time because that's the way my feeble brain works.
Yeah, what is your time worth?
Yeah.
I really would.
Value of
Yes, have a conversation. I'll reach out to him and we'll get kind of a conversation going, and see how he's been able to piece both of those together, because he does have a great sense of humor, and I'll make sure he's okay with it. Share his page and all of that. He does have a great sense of humor, and he could probably have a great perspective on this, from working full time to going home at night to writing and doing the art work that he does.
Okay.
To get it out there. So he does kind of work full time to get his brand out there. So I think that he would probably be great to realize when he does have free time to enjoy life. He probably makes the best of it.
Covering the evil, I call it the devil in your pocket, because it's just vibrating and vibrating.
Yeah,
I did look at it.
I am getting better. I used to have, and we'll get into this, but hey, I would like this to be our next. Hey, I would like this to be our next topic, because I've been very mindful of it. I used to have mindless 20 every morning. I would do mindless 20. When the wife left to work, I'd grab a cup of coffee, the phone, and I'd watch stupid videos and all that. Mindless 20. And that led to mindless 30, mindless 45 at times. Now, what I do is I'm very regimented. Whether I work from home, doesn't matter. I'm very regimented in my day. 5 a.m., I'm up, coffee, animals are fed, houses, because I have OCD, houses, countertops wiped, that's all done. And so by 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, everything's where it should be. And then I do the mindless 20, but I don't grab my phone anymore. It stays plugged in next to the bed until everything is done. Beds are made, the whole gambit. Then I'll grab it. And then I set an alarm. I'm going to sit here in my chair, have a coffee, and when this beeps, plug it back in, shower, walk the dogs, and then I'm at work by 7:30. I'm online and working. But I really want to talk about that, because I had to really, really make that a conscious effort, because just like you, if you got a like, you got this, you like that dopamine, that, yeah, and then
Definitely going to make this will be a podcast for
going
sure.
down the rabbit hole of videos.
Popular topic right now, and I have actually been reading a lot of different books because of one of my other occupations, since I wear so many different hats, is I am around a lot of the youth, since I do drive a school bus, and I see this addiction with them. So this will be an excellent topic, and I will be able to expound on different inputs, ideas, and things that I have experienced on this topic in the very recent past.
Good. I think that's going to be our next topic. I think we just decided what our next topic's going to be.
And we'll see if that happens or not, because, I know we're trying to be a lot more planned, organized, and everything, but I still left the description as is on the podcast, a unplanned conversation with random musings.
There you go.
Yes. And we're going to I'll send out some information maybe about getting people to be in the audience.
Yep.
Send links.
Because we need to do that, because I've had people ask
to be guests, to be interviewed. So we'll start, because it's going to explode, because that's the way it always works. It goes immediately viral because it's brand new, and the two talents.
Yeah.
Jason will be here. Fred will be here eventually. Yeah, and then this talent. I think I'm pointing the right way.
You are.
Flip the screen.
Not just another big dick. I mean, pretty face.
Yes,
I got more to offer than that.
And hopefully, we have to remind everybody too, especially if you've made it this far or wherever this lands in the editing, you have to really help us out. You have to like, follow, subscribe, comment,
share,
all the different share. It helps the algorithm, so more people can see these two beautiful orators that aren't bad to look at either.
Amen.
Work this magic that I call internet gold.
That's right. Now, with that, even if you don't like us and you think we're the dumbest things on the planet, share them with people you don't like.
That's true. Or share them with people you do like.
Yeah. Hey, I don't like this, but maybe you would. You're dumb.
People.
Yeah. Find your dumb friend. Share it with them.
All right.
So
I think we've teased enough. We are going to start interviewing people. We have been working on that behind the scenes, and everybody that's still here and loves us is going to like, follow, share on every platform. everything. I mean, if you have more than one podcast platform, I want to play with the algorithm, like it on Spotify, like it on iHeart, like it on Apple Podcast. That way, I mean, it's just showing the love, right? Just showing the love.
That's it. So,
All right.
all right. Bye, fuckers.
Yep. Vaya con Dios.